Myron Gaines of the Fresh and Fit podcast was recently confronted by a Christian man who used to be a dedicated follower of him.
I've watched almost every single podcast you ever did for about a year and a half. And for about 2 years, it led me astray.
I want you guys to watch this wild interaction as I break down some of the major problems and issues with some of these red pill manosphere podcasts from a biblical perspective. In this video, you're going to see a firsthand example of the emptiness that these guys are providing and true biblical masculinity that God has for men. Let's dive in. Hey, if you're a fan of this channel, stay till the end of the video because I've been working on something that I'm very excited to tell you about.
So can I ask a quick synopsis of what you think the prescription is for society today for men? In a short version, what do you think they should do to be successful with women?
To be successful with women,
Yeah.
Okay, are we talking about like getting a girl for a long-term relationship, just to get laid? What are we talking about?
Well, I think the only reason should be for a long-term relationship and marriage. I mean, that's Jesus Christ founded it, but I'm just curious what your prescription is.
Well, I've talked about this. I think guys have to have certain things in place, right, before they want to get into a long-term relationship. It's 5 things. So I would say...
Okay, just pause real quick. I have no idea what he's going to say. I'm not really very familiar with Myron. And I obviously think that there's good things. I've made videos about things that you want to have before you get married in preparation for marriage. So I'm optimistic. I don't know. I don't know a lot about this guy. I know he's a red pill kind of intense guy. So we'll see what he says.
100K per year, 6 figures a year.
What? Okay, 100K a year. That's insane to me. These guys are making so much money off of just talking about this stuff, right? Like he makes a lot of money, obviously, in the manosphere, podcast, YouTube, all that streaming. And he makes more than that, right? And he's going to shame guys that just work regular jobs for not making 100K, that he's like, oh yeah, you don't deserve to get married, or you shouldn't get married, or whatever. Like if you're not making 100K, that's insane. That's insane to me.
6 months to 1 year of savings.
That's good advice.
Be in good shape. Have at least 50 partners, right?
Bro!
Sexual body count.
Wow. 50? Bro, that's just an arbitrary number. That's a completely arbitrary number that he was just writing one day, and he was like, you know what? You need at least 50 partners. The baggage that would come from 50 partners and having to tell your wife that, like, yeah, by the way, I've slept with 50 people. 50 people. Wow. I'm kind of in shock right now. I know the world is obsessed with like this idea of sexual experience and being sexually compatible, and you have to be with all these partners to know what you like sexually and what you're like and who you need to be with and who you shouldn't be with. I truly, I'm just going to say this. I think that's complete bogusness. There's so much emphasis on sexual compatibility in our culture nowadays because we're selfish, because I want what I want right away, and and if I don't get it, then I'm going to be upset. And if I don't get sexually what I want and fulfilling all that kind of thing, then I'm going to be upset and I'm going to feel like I got a bad deal. Meanwhile, it's like Christianity, what God has for us is that man would leave his father and his mother and become one flesh with his wife, and that they would serve each other. Ephesians talks about how, you don't regard your body as your own, and, your spouse doesn't regard their body as their own because it's you're one flesh now, and you're supposed to serve and give and be gentle and love. All that is out the window when you're just like, well, you need to sleep with a lot of people so then you can know what you really like, and then you can make sure that you marry somebody that gives you everything that you could possibly want right away. That's just a selfish way of looking at it. And honestly, it will lead to disappointment ultimately. And that's why I think the divorce rate is partly so high, because people do all this work beforehand. They're like, I know exactly what I want. Okay, we're sexually compatible. Great, we've slept together a lot. And then they get in marriage and things kind of fizzle out, and maybe romance isn't as hot as it used to be. And then you're like, maybe I need somebody new. And that's why this is totally bogus.
All right, and then is that the last one?
And then there's one more, but that's fine. You could go ahead and engage with what I've said so far.
So the reason I asked that is I've watched almost every single podcast you ever did for about a year and a half. So much so that I bought into a lot of the things that you said. And for about 2 years, it led me astray and significantly damaged my personal life, including relationships.
How did it lead you astray?
Well, you told me to go sleep with a bunch of women and date multiple women at the same time, which I did, and it significantly damaged my life.
Yeah. This, I mean, honestly, it breaks my heart that these guys have so much influence. I mean, young men are looking for, obviously somebody to help guide them in their disillusion by feminism, which makes sense, right? Nobody, and the gender dysphoria and all this kind of stuff where it just feels like nobody is saying things as they are. And then you have guys like Jordan Peterson who, talk about responsibility and like that's awesome, that's good. But then you have this other side to like the manosphere and some of these more intense guys that talk about, you need to sleep with. I'm actually still in shock that he says that you have to sleep with 50 women before you get married. Like that's wild to me. But it makes sense that this guy would be pretty upset about that because that has consequences. And that isn't to say that there's not redemption and all this stuff. And I think that's what this guy's getting to, but the damage is real.
And it wasn't until I actually turned around and started listening to Jesus Christ that I was saved. Now I'm happily married. I have one child now with another one on the way, and I've never felt happier. But I felt...
Congratulations, that's good. That's really good.
Thank you. And I know you're not against that, but my concern is what you're saying to men leads them astray because I'm a walking example of it. And I think you're significantly damaging people, and especially you're leading people away from morality. Women are not sex objects. Women are created in the image of God, and they are valuable. And they should be treated as such. Why should God give you one of his children if you don't even know how to treat him?
One thing we kind of forget to highlight in this is if you're sleeping with 50 people, also, like, you're not the only one that has to suffer the consequences of that. Like, can you imagine the baggage and the pain that you're creating, especially as a man going, through all these relationships? Women are wired differently in a real way. And the amount of like healing and hurt, like healing that needs to take place for these women and the hurt and how you're just kind of like, you're capitalizing on these hurt, broken women, damaged emotionally, and you're taking advantage of that. That's sad.
So I think...
So a question for you. You said you got out there dating and meeting women and stuff like
Yep.
that. And then you said that it kind of hurt you.
Yeah.
How did it hurt you specifically? Did you like just start? What happened specifically?
Well, I started warring against my own flesh. It's like trying to fill an empty void. Mm-hmm. There's a God-shaped vacuum in the heart of every man that can only be filled by God alone. Anything else you try to fill with that's not going to satisfy it. Sure. And I tried to do it with sex.
Proverbs 6 actually talks about this. It says, "Do not desire her beauty in your heart, and do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. For the price of a prostitute is only a loaf of bread, but a married woman hunts down a precious life. Can a man carry fire next to his chest, or can his clothes not be burned? Or can one walk on hot coals and have his feet not scorched?" This flame is a really good picture of it because it looks good, it looks entertaining, it looks enticing, but it will burn you. And what this man found out, that it did burn him, and that it didn't fill this part of him that was longing for connection and hope and ease of his pain. It didn't make him more of a man. It didn't make him feel like more of a man. And the Bible talks about how young men should flee these youthful passions, that they're not productive. In fact, they are a distraction and a detriment to your soul. God calls us as men to grow in him, to be committed and surrender our life to him. He said that if you want to follow him, you need to pick up your cross and deny yourself. This is the denial of the flesh, of those sinful pleasures that seem alluring for a second. This flame seems alluring, but it's not good. It'll actually lead you to destruction. But God's calling for us as men is so much greater: to love those around us, to lead those around us, to protect and provide for our family. I think about some of the requirements that Myron has about what you need to be doing in order to get married and qualify for that, essentially. I think it's just about kind of stacking his own ego, stacking your own ego going into marriage. It's not about providing. It's not about being the man of character. It's all these exterior things that honestly a lot of men have, and they're not good guys, and they're not good husbands. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this in the comments down below. If you want to go deeper in growing as a man, I have a quick announcement for you. Since the beginning of this channel over 2 years ago, it's been on my heart that we would have a place where we could talk face to face. It wouldn't just be me talking to you guys about all this stuff, but that we could actually grow together as brothers, be real and authentic with each other about our struggles with lust or relationships or just our walk with God. So I'm really excited to let you guys know about the launch of the Kindred Brothers Club. The core of this club is going to be a weekly video call where young men from across the world can log on, and we're going to have honest and real conversations about things that matter to us, where we can share our heart honestly, and you can also be poured into by other young men from across the world. So here's the deal. The Kindred Brothers Club is going to be hosted on Patreon. The goal is for us to get to 50 paid members before we start the weekly call. From there, I'm hoping to expand and offer other resources for club members, as well as other support groups that might be focused more on pornography addiction and things like that. I know some of you just can't afford the $7. Things are tight right now, and you can't join right now. And I still really, appreciate you guys watching the videos and being part of our community. The reason it's on Patreon, honestly, is so that the ministry can be supported and that it would also be a safe place where just not, random people are coming on to our calls. It's going to be a safe community where we can grow together as brothers. So join the club, link in my description, help us get to 50 members. And when that happens, I'm going to let you guys all know when our first meeting is. We could reach our goal within the day or a few days even, I hope. And so be on the lookout for once you join the club to see when the first meeting is. Thanks so much, guys, for being a part of this. And until next time, keep pursuing the mission.